Yes, hello, my fellow Youpreneurs. Welcome back to another monthly chat of the chit. Yes, the chit chat is back, and we're with the one and only Jasmine Star. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to get stuck right in, all on Instagram. You, can we get personal for a minute?
Absolutely.
A little bit.
Yes.
You became a mum very recently as well.
I did.
Yes. Now, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is adoption.
It is.
And it was a massive journey for you.
It was.
And now it happened. How has it changed you?
I feel like my team casually jokes that I eat rocks for breakfast. You know, it's like you tap on my chest, it's like clunk, clunk.
Right.
Like, she was heartless.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like a mush pot. Like,
Yes.
I look at this little human being, and she is a slice of heaven. She's
Yes.
like a perfect human being, and I don't know how I've been so blessed to be her mom.
Have you got a nickname for her yet?
Her name is... Her name is Luna Sol,
Okay.
which is moon and sun in Spanish.
Okay.
And I've taken to calling her moon pie.
Moon
Yeah,
pie.
it's like a dessert here in the United States, moon pie.
It works great. Now, so I call Cassandra, our 2.5-year-old, I call her sausage.
How? I can see like somewhat moon pie, but where did sausage come from?
Moon pie, come on, it's kind of, yes, all right, fair play, it's probably better. So actually what happened was, you guys might have all come along for the ride on this part of the conversation. What happened was Urs, who's behind the camera shooting B-roll over there, gave birth. She was asleep, recovering. And Cassandra was in the little, they have
Yes.
a little cot next to the bed. And I just looked over, as I was the only one in the room, and I spoke to my daughter for the first time. And I said, it doesn't matter what you want in life, all you need to do is ask me for it, and it's yours, my little sausage.
Oh.
And from that moment onwards, she's just been sausage. Now, but here's the funny thing, right? She will actually
Respond
yeah. to sausage. Yes, Daddy.
My dad fondly calls me fathead. I know. Well, I think fathead's nicer than sausage. I do. But he'll be like, hey, fathead. I'm like, yeah, Dad.
Yeah, what do you want?
So cheers to fathers who give their daughters the worst
There we go.
nicknames.
Moon pie is probably just
Best.
a tad
It
more
is.
beautiful. Okay.
It is.
All right, well, thanks for coming along. Right, okay, so let's get into Instagram then. I'm so happy for you, and
Thank you.
clearly you're happy and it's
Thank
clear.
you.
Oh, the quick question, the follow-up to that, though,
Yes.
is with the rocks and the heart and all the rest of it,
Yes.
are the team trying to take advantage of that now that you've kind of chilled and mellowed a little
Oh yeah,
bit?
they're so excited.
Yeah.
They're so excited. They're just like, wow, are we seeing like remnants or beginnings of like, pudding in your soul? I'm like, quite possibly.
yes.
Quite possible. If anybody wants a raise, now is the
Now
time
is
to
the
ask,
time to jump right on
Paige,
board.
Just kidding.
Paige is over here saying, I am so down for this. This is going to be good. Okay, so let's talk Instagram. I would say probably the last couple of years for you has been crazy on that platform, right? In the last year, let's niche down a little bit timeline-wise. What's been the 2 or 3 things for you that has kind of happened to you as a direct result of being on that platform, utilizing on that platform, serving on that platform, that 3-4 years ago you never would have thought would have happened?
Well, I want to be very transparent and be 100. Because what I say in this room, I want to make sure that I say in other places,
Yeah.
is the applications, the tools, the approach that I have applied towards Instagram is the exact same approach that I take for YouTube, for Facebook, for LinkedIn, for Twitter, all of those platforms, which I'm still very active on. I've been blessed to be known and like having attention on Instagram, but the other platforms are just as vital.
They're there and
amazing.
you're doing just as important, right?
Absolutely. So I think that the thing that I had learned in other platforms leading to Instagram was the ability to build a brand. And I know that sounds super esoteric, but when you just distill what a brand is, it's what somebody says about you when you walk out of the room.
Oh my God, I say this stuff all the time. This is like we're twins, but not.
I have a better tan.
Yes.
Yes, and a little
Yeah.
bit more hair. But yeah, we're twins. We're separated at birth. But that's basically what it is.
Yeah, when you're,
It really
I say your brand is what people say about you when you're not around.
Yeah.
So it's the same sort of
Absolutely the same thing. So I can get a little bit more practical now. It's like, what have I been given in the past year that I didn't have 3 years ago?
Yep.
Well, outside of the brand, which is evergreen and will go with you wherever you go, there have been a new feature to Instagram Live. I go live on Instagram every week. That alone is like the 1% of people who are producing content. But then specifically, you have a feature now where you can pull in photos from your camera roll. So what I do before I go live is I will create like maybe 6 slides very quickly, like in Canva or in WordSwag. And so I go in and I usually set the framework of my life to talk about one thing. So in that particular moment, I would talk about determination. So as I'm setting the framework, knowing that people who are watching live, they're getting benefits, but who am I recording for are the people who watch in the replay.
Yes.
So my lives are about 30 minutes. And so for the other 23 and a half hours of the day, I'm setting the framework to actually come in with like value, benefits, and a very clear thesis. What does it take about determination? What does it mean in your business? And then what I do is I bring on people to come on live.
Now, this is what I've seen you do, actually. I've been stalking you a little bit. And you do it, a lot of people do this, where they bring somebody that's viewing on live with them.
Yes.
But you do it in such a way that, I'm curious to know, are they, like, they're aware they're going to come on live before you go?
I tell people, like, right when they come on, I was like, if you request, you are coming on live. Because there have been times where people will go live and, true story, hand to heaven, she's in a bath towel, like, in her bathroom. And she's like, oh my God. So she realizes that when she requested, like, you actually do have the chance of coming on.
Right.
And then she didn't want to forsake her opportunity, so she said, I'm just going to do this live, and I'm just going to be in my towel. It's like, and it was riveting Instagram live content.
I bet it certainly was for a number of different reasons. All right, okay, so the live element for you is a big thing then.
Yes.
Is it the biggest turn on with the platform for you right now?
I think it's the most difficult. I think it's the most like that tightrope effect. Like people just want to watch to see what will happen. I think that's what makes it juicy. I also think that it highlights certain strengths. Like not everybody is as quick on their feet.
Right.
And so if everybody's doing the same thing, our jobs as entrepreneurs is to really highlight what makes us different. And I'm a rather quick like synthesizer. I'm quick on my toes. I can give advice. I know how to take a big idea, break it down, give applicable steps, not just to a specific industry, but to business owners, period.
Yep.
And this particular aspect of the platform has really opened the doors for me to show that off.
I think, the other big thing is also that I think as content creation goes, we all know that going live is, something that all of the platforms are kind of like pushing as well, right?
Yes.
But a lot of people are scared, like crazy of doing that. I call BS on a certain amount of, well, I'm not good on camera and things like that. But it's all very well to say that. But I think if you are genuinely actually prepared, that you can rock a live any day of the week.
I agree.
So that's the secret. It's the preparation. Whether it's putting together a few slides real quick beforehand, or maybe it's just like, what I do when I go live? Let you in on a little secret, you guys. I just have a Post-it.
Yeah.
And I write 3 bullet points on it. And I stick it on the bottom of my phone. And I just go live, and that's my live right there. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm winging it. I know what I'm talking about, but that's the way I prepare. Other people do things in different ways, right?
I also, can we tap here for a second?
Yes.
For youpreneurs who are liking that concept of the Post-it note, is that I always think that I always go back to what I call 3 pillars. You want to be known for 3 main things. Like, Chris is known for X, Y, and Z. And for me, every time I take on any topic, it could be legitimately determination to optimism to grit to chutzpah. I go back to one of the 3 pillars so that people become knowing me for this one thing.
Right.
And I go back to branding on social media, giving people experiences, going back to consistency on any platform, and going out to belief in the impossible.
Right.
So any topic, if you threw out like Jasmine, we're walking the dog, we're talking about gardening, you give me gardening and I can always point it back to one of my 3
one of those
pillars.
3 things.
And that seems super helpful because people, as they look at their Post-it note, whatever you want to talk about at that time, make sure that it links back to your 3 pillars so people can contextualize. You're joining the social conversation. You guys call it football, we call it soccer, right? So if there's like a really big...
I call it boring.
Yeah. Oh, my brown father at Los Angeles is like totally let down.
He probably wants to beat me up right now. I'm the most un-Brit Brit when it comes to sports that you will ever meet in your life.
Oh my
God. I don't hold it back. Like I would sit here and talk basketball with you
really
all day long. Oh man. Oh man.
Oh my God!
80s,
Flew to
70s,
England to see a
and
Manchester
oh my
United,
God.
match. So anyway,
And I'm a Londoner.
Gosh,
We've got our pick of the.
I'm pained.
Yes,
I'm
I know.
pained. I'm pained.
If your dad's ever in England, I'll break the mold and I'll take him to a football
Okay,
game.
I'm gonna hold you to
But
it.
other than that, I ain't going nowhere near it. It's not gonna happen.
Whatever it could be. So in this case, it would be, like the NBA championships.
Right.
I could contextually talk about something that's culturally relevant to get people interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk about what it means, like the legacy, specifically being from Los Angeles, that Kobe and his family, like Kobe
Totally.
lived in Newport Beach, that's currently where I live, like the ripple effect that it has. And we talk about legacy.
Yeah.
And then I can talk about legacy in relation to building a brand, legacy in regards to consistency, because that's how you build a legacy,
Mm-hmm.
and legacy in regards to believing in something that's impossible. So whatever your impossible dream is, how do you build a legacy now to map to your aspirations?
Yes.
That has become a game changer when you're really cognizant about the content you're putting out.
Is it something that, clearly it comes across to me that you kind of live and breathe this, right? But for those maybe that are tuning in and might be watching this at any point in the future, it'll come easier for some people than it will do others in terms of the consistency of the messaging and showing up and all that kind of stuff. Is it something that you've had to work on, or have you always been sort of like super on it all the time?
And this is a thing that, for better or for worse, like this is like, it comes with the territory. People are like, you live, eat, breathe it. It comes easy for you.
Yeah.
You're hardwired for it. And I'm just like, that could not be further from the truth.
Really?
Truly.
Okay, because it clearly don't come across.
If somebody told me that I would be able to build a 6, 7, 8-figure business and it was riding horses, I'd be on a horse 10 days a week. I do whatever I can to get the results that I want. But specifically for daughter of an immigrant, last person to read, always behind the curve, never had any money. Here in the United States, we have government assistance for people who fall under a certain socioeconomic level. Like, we were on the receiving end of that every single day. So when you see that, you as an adult look around and say, what can I get results from that doesn't cost me money? I was forced and relegated to build a business with no money. And what was available for me? Blogs and early inception of this crazy thing called social media. And I was like, wait, I can put something out on the internet. It don't cost me anything and people get to read it.
Right.
And I just feel like if you told me to swim 18 laps to get to the result I want, watch me become the next like Michael Phelps. That's just, I do what I have to do.
So it is what it is. Okay, good. All right, let's drop some bombs.
Okay.
You ready for bombs?
Yes.
We're ready for. Okay, good. So what I want to know is, let's stick on Instagram as well,
Perfect.
because I want the guys are all in on that right now. I want to say, if we have a presence, we know who we're wanting to attract. The customer avatar thing is not a question, because
Perfect.
when you're a Youpreneur, you know who you're trying to attract. You know who you want to be known, or what you want to be known for, right? So what are, say, 3 big things, according to Jasmine, that we need to do on a consistent basis to not only grow our Instagram following, but more importantly, to genuinely create opportunities and have impact into the lives of the people that actually do start following us?
I like the keyword that you would use, which was consistency. So there is a difference of being on Instagram and using Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, you have an account, you occasionally post. When you're in a promotional period, you're all about it, and then immediately after the launch ends,
I hate it when that
you close.
happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're using Instagram, you have a clear plan and strategy. You know that showing up daily is part of a discipline that it takes for you to grow your business and leverage your social media voice. So step number 1 is you have to create a plan to use Instagram. And oftentimes we recoil because we're entrepreneurs and we want to do stuff that like lights us up. But the only way you can like reap the benefits of social media is if you know why you're there. So you're speaking to your customer avatar, you know their pressure points, and you offer solutions. But that's just like the first 3 steps. The best Youpreneur would offer the transformation. And you don't talk about the transformation every day. You talk about the activities and the disciplines that it takes to get the transformation that you as an entrepreneur are promising. Step number 2, that's to give the type of engagement that you want. And like, people are always like, well, why aren't people leaving comments? Well, why aren't people liking my photos? Like, when's the last time that you did that? So it's like, I apply the 10x rule. If you want 1 comment on your account, you have to go and leave 10 comments. And make sure that on other accounts, and make sure that the comments that you're leaving are more than 4 words, because the Instagram algorithm indexes comments more than 4 words differently than comments less than 4 words. Okay. So if you want people leaving 4-word comments, you have to leave forward comments on others. We have to train people how we want to engage.
Sure.
And then lastly, it would be to go through and give ways for people to engage in stories. So stories are this beautiful unsung hero that could incentivize followers to take an action as simple as voting on a poll, using a slider, leaving a question. Any action that a viewer takes on behalf of your account indexes positively to the algorithm, and the next time that person opens the app, your stories will be earlier seen,
right.
and there's a higher likelihood of people seeing your posts. But oftentimes we do stories, it's like, I'm here recording with Chris. And like, what value did we bring to our audience? The story would be, I just finished filming with Chris, and these are the 3 things that we talked about.
We're going to see whether she posts this now. Right. Yeah, but totally. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Yeah. So, okay, for me, I see a gazillion times more engagement when I utilize stories than I do the grid, as some people call it, right? What is the part, other than, is there a big focal point for you on the stuff that you put on your profile? I mean, or do you prefer the more ad hoc? I mean, you're still planning, but ultimately, like the story function as a whole, is that something that you're attracted to more because it's maybe requires less planning?
Yes and no, because they don't live in perpetuity. They disappear after 24 hours.
Yeah.
I want to be very judicious with how much time I'm spending in something that just goes away.
Yes.
So for me, it is very important to use my grid strategically. So studies right now, currently, the state of like the Instagram Union gets about 3.5% organic reach. Now, about 2.5 to 3% of your following will see stories. And so in my mind, I can't assume that the 3.5 that see what appears on my grid are the 3.5 that see what's in stories.
No, exactly.
So I would use stories as a way to increase organically what I'm getting, just to come up and stay top of mind. So
right.
I use stories as like a billboard. Billboard as you're driving down the highway. Do they have, or along the countryside in England?
Actually, the highway or freeway here sounds so much better. We call it the motorway in England. The motorway.
It does sound fancier, I will say.
You think so?
I think so.
Maybe it's the way we say it.
Exactly.
The motorway.
You guys say, we say trash can.
We would say, rubbish bin. Rubbish bin.
Yes, I was waiting for it.
Trash can or rubbish bin. Let's keep going.
We should. We totally should.
The loo.
Oh, the bathroom.
Oh, very good. Okay.
The loo sounds so much better, though. It really does. You guys win.
Now, you can go all the way down. Like, if you're in London, we have what we call Cockney slang. This interview has taken such a left turn. Cockney slang, it's a thing. It's been a thing for a long, long time, but only in London. And it's where we use rhyming words and phrases to mean something different. So you could say something like, don't fall down the apple and pears. Don't fall down going down the stairs. Yeah. That blank look is, get a close up on that.
I was just like, it's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, what?
Right. Apple and pears, stairs, trouble and strife, wife.
I still don't get it. I feel like I'm playing a game I have no idea.
It's total random. That's the thing. Yeah.
Okay, so right here.
Right.
I'm riveted because this is an Instagram story.
Okay.
So this would legitimately be you talking to the camera and be like,
I love how you brought this back around, by the way, to the actual interview.
You're welcome.
It's good.
Okay, so you're walking, and to an American who's watching your stories,
right.
You do that in about 10 seconds. Here in London, we have this.
Right.
And then the second story would be, now we have an Instagram layout. So if you scroll to the right, you will see the layout, and you can insert a photo, and you can put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You can have like trouble in stairs or whatever. What was it? See, I clearly.
Oh, sorry. That is ridiculous. Okay, so what you've just done, which I love so much, is you've put 2 of them together to make a new one. That's what
Americans do. I mean, we take what's good from the Brits and we make it our own.
Trouble in stairs. There's got to be something. I'm going to find it.
It made no sense.
Right.
Well, trouble in pairs? Is that what she said?
Trouble and wife. Trouble and strife. Oh, Jesus. Trouble and strife, wife, apple and pears, stairs.
Okay, so you can put both of those up, right, in the layout, and then you can add a poll.
Right.
And it's just like, does this make sense? Yes or no? And all your followers have to do is click on a poll, and it's just easy engagement.
Yes.
It just keeps it like, legitimately, there are people who are like, are you coffee or tea? If you had a hot dog and you only pick one condiment, ketchup or mustard, all people are trying to do is give an impression to the algorithm so that their content shows up again.
Do you, I mean, is this the sort of type of thing now? Because obviously, I mean, how many followers do you have? 300 and something plus thousand on Instagram? Okay, so is this something that you personally plan the majority of the content for?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, are you utilizing your team for a lot?
Now, and I want to be very clear with that. I am never the person who says you must do this. I believe that there are 3 types of CEOs. You have the product-based CEO, like Steve Jobs. You have very much like the culture type of CEO. So we're looking at Southwest Airlines here in the United States, like very like culture-driven. And then you have like a marketing CEO.
Right.
And you play to your strengths, and then you hire for different aspects. So for me, what we do inside of Social Curator, I'm not a product CEO. So I really leverage a team who is so driven at executing this beautiful experience start to finish. And as far as culture is super important to me, but I've hired and brought in a team to really deploy that culture aspect.
Yep.
But as far as marketing, I will take the lead because I believe that is my strength. And then I bring in people like Paige to help support what that is like and those efforts. But really, I'm leveraging my strength.
So it's what I always say: do what you do best, delegate the rest.
Yes.
Now you may or may not know this, but over in the Philippines we have a couple of businesses with almost 400 employees at a couple of different facilities, and people often ask me like, how do you live in England? How do you run businesses over in the Philippines with that many people working for you, serving customers worldwide? How do you do that? So it's simple. I get people to do it for me because I physically can't do it myself, or I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy doing it, whatever you want to call it. And so you bring the people in to help you do what you need to do to run certain aspects of your businesses, right? Sure. What's one thing you hate doing in your business? And I mean hate, like you don't want to do it.
I'm really not that great. Or, I don't want to say that. I don't think that's true. Okay, so we're getting real deep here. I grew up very poor, and I really shape my decisions around finances. But as I've matured as an entrepreneur, I have found that I am the most successful when I remain unattached to whether or not our decisions are substantiated by the money in our bank account. No, we're very strategic. We're not putting anybody in peril. No. But I just look at, this is like our theoretical runway, and this is our lead time, and what's our burn rate, and all these other things. When my husband and my business partner is so great at running a profit first model. He works with our CFO, and when I stay in my zone of genius and I get to create, I get to go, and we get a map, and we get a budget for that, then that's better. So me being in the numbers, I immediately go into, I know what it's like to have nothing, and I never want to go back there. Right. And I feel like that is definitely my Achilles heel.
We're very similar. It's kind of scary. I think we possibly were separated at birth because I want nothing to do with that side of the business as well. Urs handles all of it. Your significant other handles it. It's quite scary, right? Can we switch gears for a minute and talk about this? Because the one thing that me and Urs get a lot of inside of the community is, how do you run the business as husband and wife? What is that like in your personal lives? How does the dynamic work? Without getting too personal, I'm curious to know, how do you separate? Because I'm assuming you probably work from home a lot of the time as well, particularly now with the little one, right? Which is awesome. Yeah. It's like an added bonus, right? How we even get any work done half the time, I don't know, because I just want to play. I play all the time. So how do you handle that? Working at home, husband, business owner, he does that, you do this, but like, how does that work from a business personal life balance scenario?
It's very business. So when it's business hours,
it's on.
Right. And currently it's just he and I, and we take hours of who is responsible for Luna in those hours, and we need to get what we need to get done in those hours. Prior to having a child, but this is super honed in now, is that we are responsible. So we're 50-50 business partners, but when you are working with your spouse, it's so important to denote which projects somebody is the lead on.
Yes.
So there are certain projects that I am a lead 51% and he's 49, and projects that he's lead 51%. So like a small example would be travel. He's the 51% owner of travel. If he comes to me and says, oh, hey, we have a layover in New York to get to London. I'm like, why New York? We could totally go to Chicago. We should have sought something out. And he's just like, my project. And I have to trust that he has done the legwork to make a decision. When it comes to like outward facing things like our brand, he's just like, is that really what we're going for? 51-49, that's where the conversation stops, and it keeps it super healthy and keeps those boundaries like intact.
Same. Okay, it's exactly the same. I love it. Okay, so there's got to be something in this then, I think, because I think anybody that I have spoken to who works with their spouse or significant other, I have found that is actually a resounding resemblance from one couple to another, is that they both know their place, they both respect that, there's no stepping on each other's toes, or very little of it, and therefore the personal side of the relationship actually ends up being stronger. I don't know about you, but I think we're a stronger couple because we work together as well. And there are times when we're on holiday or something like that, and something will pop up, and all of a sudden we're brainstorming. We've got the notepad out. Does this happen as well? And then you say, wait a minute, we shouldn't be talking about business, but it's part of your relationship.
It is.
Right?
It is.
It's the weirdest thing.
It is.
Okay, all right.
But speaking of relationships, and we'll loop it back to Instagram, is, it's pretty ironic. My husband has an account, but probably hasn't posted in like a year.
Okay.
And so people often ask, like, how does that work? Like, you're so on Instagram, like, are you always on it? And how does he feel about that? So this goes back to a conversation in and outside of a working relationship. This is anybody. Like, if you have a partner, if a spouse, a child, like, for me, it's very important that I've clearly denoted times on Instagram, and he or somebody else in my life can hold me accountable. In fact, we had like a team retreat, and I was on Instagram, and someone's like, Jasmine, you're not supposed to be on Instagram. I was like, you're right.
So you're not checking it all day, every day sort of type thing? How many times do you pick your phone up to check Instagram daily?
Probably like 6 times.
6 times a day? Really? Just that little? I would have thought it would be more than that.
Oh, no. But I go in for chunks of time. So I'll go in for like 25 minutes and go to my DMs.
Okay.
So there's a difference. So for me, I have like my personal time on
like
Instagram.
this. Okay,
and then like my business time.
Right.
Like, so there's a difference between consuming on Instagram. So people say, I'm in it for my business, and all you're doing is consuming. You're doing nothing for your business.
Click.
You're going through imposter syndrome. You're going through envy.
Yeah.
You're being like, it's happening to me instead of like, let me go and happen to it.
Right.
So when I am on Instagram as behalf of my business, I am going and DMing. Like, I'm finding other accounts through like a specific hashtag that I can start engaging with. I'm being active in that way.
Like, you're on, it's business.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, all right. To wrap up, final question. God, this is so fun. I feel like we could go for another hour.
Where does time go? This is
I know, it's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Final question. If there was one feature that you could be the lead developer on for Instagram to hit the streets in the next 12 months, one new thing on the platform.
Oh, they're already working on it.
What would it be? Oh, really? What is it then?
A TikTok editor.
A TikTok editor for Instagram.
Stories, yeah.
So you can go click, video kind of thing. Like, I make it look all cool and sexy.
So like, let's go back. Like, history repeats itself, and Mark Zuckerberg is openly stated that if he cannot acquire, he will copy.
Okay.
So remember, so stories became as a derivative of Snapchat. He tried acquiring Snapchat, not 1, not 2, but 3 times. He was denied, and so he said, fine, we're going to double down on this. And
they got it out quick.
They got it out quick.
Yeah.
And they kept on saying that it wasn't, people weren't going to respond to it. And lo and behold, Snapchat does like a revamp, and people don't like the revamp. And Stories was there in the exact same iteration as Snapchat was before. People went directly to that platform. I definitely think that they're going to start like incorporating, because people like to consume. There's something so powerful about consuming videos on TikTok that Instagram sees it and says, if we don't start incorporating elements of that into Stories, we're going to be losing a large part of our audience.
I think Snapchat were extremely naive to think that Instagram working on their stories was not going to take off the way it did, because you already had the audience there. It wasn't like it was a brand new app. Right? Like, I'd been on Instagram for a few years before they brought the stories out. I already had, thousands and thousands of people following me, ready and waiting to consume that fresh new piece of content from me in that way. Why they ever thought that it wasn't going to take off, it's beyond me.
One thing though that I will say is like we can all look at these new platforms as like training grounds, and so I believe that Snapchat prepared me to really enter in Instagram stories with exactly knowing what to want to do in creating content.
100%.
And so all of a sudden we looked at these like 15-second clips and we're like, oh, it's so short. And
Right.
now we look at TikTok and we're like, it's like even shorter
Yeah.
and much more active. And I think that's going to be the next iteration. of
Were
stories.
you when stories hit Instagram and you started using them after obviously already using
Yes.
Snapchat? Were you calling the clips snaps? Because I was, and it took
I
me a
think I was
while
pretty
to get out of it.
cognizant around it because I really wanted to put a stake in the ground and say
Right.
like, this is where I'm going.
I was a nightmare for weeks and weeks. Coming up on the next snap, all the time for weeks and weeks. It took me a while to get used to it. All right, okay. Jasmine Star, everybody. Links to everything else that we've talked about and all the good stuff below the video. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
You were really good.
Was that
She was
awkward?
really
Let's do it
good.
again. Let's do it again. Who high fives this way? I have to go to a diagonal. There we go.
Oh, good Lord. Is that like an American rule or something that I'm unaware of?
Well, did that feel any awkward to you? Like,
Well, I'm British.
please say it.
Darling, every high five feels weird to me. Oh, lordy, lordy. We'll be back at you again next month with another chit chat. Until then, I love you. Bye-bye for now.